You know how they tell you, "Na man you be, carry am, shoulder it, don't cry. Why are you crying? Your responsibilities, who do you want to leave it for?" And then men just continue to carry all this burden. They get to carry so much pressure. We're going to be discussing about it today. My name is Faith Martins. Welcome to another edition right here on Serenity TV. Okay, I'm not going to be too much today because today's conversation is going to be very deep. I want us to go into the deep of the deep. Now looks as though I'm going into the ocean. But honestly, today's conversation is very, very paramount. It's a conversation that I think we should have as much as possible. I'm not by myself today in the studio. I've got me a veteran. Somebody who has paid his dues in the media space, especially in the city of Owerri. Someone who has literally walked, I want to say, on water. I have me here, no other person than Xandas Okeke. Round of applause, gentlemen of the press.
Thank you, Faith. And of course, thank you for the viewers as well.
Amazing. It's such a pleasure to have you here. How have you been?
Awesome. And you?
I'm good, actually.
Nice.
I'm really nice. Thank you so much. So we're gonna talk a little bit about you before we get into the conversation. So it's been a while since you threaded, or you've been, like, it's not threaded because you're still here in the journalist I'd call it journey. Terrain. Okay,
yeah.
Maybe. And it must have been a whole lot of experience for you, the good, bad, and ugly, maybe. So can you walk us through that?
First of all, let me tell people that I never wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to be a lawyer.
Oh, really?
But of course, after JAMB, I wrote the first JAMB. They denied me law, gave me business admin. Wow. I said, man, no, I'm not going to do that. Decided to sit again, did another exam. Okay. And this time, they didn't give me law as well again. And then my mates were already going to their second year. Yeah. Decided to now, just follow that dream. Mass comm came my way. Yeah. And that was how I entered into studying mass communication. Okay. And of course, while we're trying to know where you're going to fit in, for me, broadcast was just like me. Because my institution then had a small radio station, about 100 meters radius in Enugu then. And when I was on air, I get accolades from my colleagues, students, environment. And once or twice, you see one or two people from Independence Layouts coming to say, they want to see that person. And that was how the journey continued. Then somewhere after service, I sat at home the first year, no employment. Okay. You understand? I said, no problem. Luckily for me, dad was there to support me financially. Monthly, I get steep stipends, to keep body and soul together. So I was not really feeling the pang like some of my colleagues were. And I also rubbed shoulders with some of them that were already working because there was something we were doing towards the end of the month. We hang out. And when my dad gives me mine, I'm just as buoyant as they are. Yeah. You understand? So we continued. Then one day we're watching TV. I saw Chris Ayao of the NTA fame. I said, wow. And that was TSM television then. Yeah. And I decided and I told my younger ones, I said, I'm going to work with this woman. Where that came from, I don't know. Probably fate. Yeah. And then few days, because Mom was always buying me Tuesday Guardian every Tuesday. Then Guardian had this employment thing every Tuesday. Columns, so vacancies and all of that. And also this vacancy broadcaster that I applied. Barely a week later, I was invited for the interview. And lo and behold, who did I see interviewing me? Chris Ayao.
Wow.
And we had fun. It was just like gisting. We're just interacting kind of. Yeah. And she now said, you know what? Go and do me a story. And it's around Christmas period then. Go and do me a story right now and get out of my office. So I just laughed it off and I went out. I just went downstairs. That was at Theodolite House on Ikorodu Road in Lagos. Yeah. I wrote a story about Christmas, scarcity of, was it poultry or something at the market? And I stayed down. A friend of mine and colleague too came. He did the same thing. He said he wanted to go to the market. I said, my friend, sit down here and write what you can write. What do they go market all the time. Yeah. You understand? So after a while, we went up, I submitted it, and that was it. Barely 10 days later, I was invited to commence work That was some few days to Christmas.
Yeah.
You understand? And that was how the
The
journey started. Yes.
Okay, amazing.
I started as a reporter researcher,
Okay.
you know, because then we research some topics for her, and we also go to report and research ahead for ourselves too.
Okay.
You know, so that
That's
was how the
nice.
journey started. Radio came along the line. Ted Ferguson, an American consultant, you know, our one-on-one together, he said I must be on radio. And that was it. And that was how the entire journey.
Amazing. So how's the journey been so far? I
Yeah,
mean,
just like you said, it's been the good, the bad, and the ugly. You understand?
more good or more bad? Let's be certain. Let's weigh it.
No, let's just leave it at that. You understand? Because if I try to do that, I might dissuade some people from, you know, venturing into it. So, but they should understand that it has its ups and downs.
Of course.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
And it's also important for you to know that opportunities are quite relative. So you don't want to work on his own experiences when you know
Thank
that
you.
yours can be a little bit different
Yeah.
or even much more beautiful.
That's true.
Anyway, thank you so much for that recap. Very, very important. Let's delve right into why we're here.
Okay.
The conversation we're about to have is something I'm so sure that you can relate to.
Yeah.
It's a conversation on burnout, pressure that usually comes on men, especially family men. And you're a family man to start
it's
with.
men generally.
Oh,
it's
okay.
men generally. Don't look at because I can tell you, young men are
I'm going
also
through
going
it.
through the same.
Yes.
You understand? It might not be at the same level, but they also go through burnout as well.
Of course, I agree with you on so many levels. We're not going to talk about the financial aspects of the pressure that comes from society because I think that's a very holistic conversation that we should have much later because
Okay.
that's like the crux of the matter. But let's talk about the stress that just comes from, you know, the man himself wanting to achieve something really good for himself. The pressure that comes from society on the man to achieve something great for himself, and no matter how you want to run away from that, it just keeps coming to you. You know, sometimes I guess if find men who will tell you that as a woman, women can enjoy whatever they want. They don't have to stress. They don't have to do this. But for a man, it is way more difficult. So I'm going to be, I rather want us to speak on the man's perspective. What do you think is this pressure that men usually go through? And I know that there are some factors that sort of spur this pressure, like societal pressure and all of that. But what do you think is that pressure from the man's perspective?
Well, let me just tell you that you see, for a man, right from the moment you're born, it's almost as if the society is already putting you at that angle.
True.
For one, you're supposed to be a leader of sorts. You're supposed not to cry. You understand? You're supposed not to be vulnerable. You need to stomach so many. You're not even supposed to show emotions.
Of course.
You understand? And I can tell you that it's a no. You know, we have emotions, we have feelings. There are days I feel like I just want to cry too. You understand? I just feel like crying, you know, when the pressure becomes so much. I mean, you see instances where men tend to take their lives over undue pressure.
Of course.
You understand? So I'll tell you, for one, right from day one, a man is already seen as a provider. He's supposed to provide. When he can't provide, it's a problem. You understand? A man is supposed not to, in fact, even the holy books put it this way, and you hear it almost all the time. In fact, sometimes wives, you know, use it as a means of shading their man. You understand? That a man that cannot provide for his family
is worse
is
than
not
an infidel.
You understand? So you can see the level of pressure. You understand? Some of us also, we tend to, you know, hide under ego and shame. You understand? You are under pressure. Once a lady is under pressure, for example, let's use couples now, married couple.
Yeah.
You understand? Once they're under pressure, they throw it to the man.
Exactly.
You understand? NEPA bill comes, so, Oga, they don't bring your NEPA bill come, oh. School fees, so, your children are going back to school. There's no food. Even common gas, finishing on a Sunday morning, for example, because that's when my own normally goes off. You know? You know, and probably you've given your last card as at Saturday for You know, in the African setting, Sunday, or let's say the Southeastern setting,
Yes.
Sunday afternoon lunch is special. They must cook
Yes.
rice and stew.
Of course.
Whether it's with meat, chicken, or any turkey, it depends on your pocket. You understand? And probably you've now expensed that funds to ensure Sunday meal is cooked. And on Sunday morning, you're waking up to prepare for church, and only for them to come and tell you, gas don't
There's
finish.
no
oh."
gas.
You understand?
Yeah.
You are supposed to solve that. You're also a problem solver. You understand? So the pressure is much. And for some women, they are getting to understand. You understand? But I wish more women can
Would
understand and meet us halfway. You understand? My wife is a very good one at that. She meets me halfway. You understand?
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes she even tells, she rubs it in that it's like I'm becoming too relaxed. You understand?
Yeah.
So you might not see me and going through such pressure,
Pressure.
but there are times. You understand? There are times. I mean, school fees is coming at you. House rent is almost coming at you the same time. Your car is giving you problem.
Yeah.
You understand?
And you just keep wondering, at what point am I going to get a breather?
You can imagine.
But let's explore where this pressure, I mean, it's like you said, it's something that has been poured upon us. I will call it poured upon us because there is a mindset, there is a thought that every person, especially in African homes, particularly, there's a mindset that, men are being structured to work with. They have an understanding that, or as a man, like you said initially, as a boy child growing up, the first thing they tell you is you're not supposed to cry.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to show any form of emotion.
Emotions,
you
yeah.
have to be very, very tough. You have to take things as they come at you. That is what shows the strength of a man.
Yeah.
So let's take it right back to that setting and question it. Question it in the sense that, do you think our forefathers or our fathers were right to have kept that conditioning?
I won't blame them for keeping that conditioning because you see, the society they lived in is different from what we're experiencing today.
True.
You understand? For example, this my forefathers' time, a man is supposed to marry as much as 5-10 wives, produce children that will help farm in his big farm,
Yeah.
then create a very large yam ban, and they call him, give him a title. You understand? And once he's able to feed him, and in fact, he's able to feed the family. You get what I'm saying? Then we now got to the industrial era when we started going to companies, offices, and all of that.
Yeah.
Then, as I said, my dad told me before he finished his final exams, about 3 companies were already seeking him for employment. You understand? They came with house allowance, car allowance. Some even paid for wife allowance so that you get married. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, it kept on like that. And right now, you see men, so many young men are willing to get married, but they are scared. Why are they scared? They cannot make ends meet for themselves alone. Talk less of now carrying the burden of a wife. Then, of course, children start coming. And once you enter that field, man, forget
It's
it.
like you sold yourself. You're no longer living for yourself.
At all. You in fact, there are days you will go to bed hungry.
So that the children can eat.
So that the children can eat. And you will also appeal to your wife. That because let's by tomorrow I'll provide something. In fact, you eat breakfast, the dinner and breakfast. You understand? But that's a lie. You understand? So they are 2 extreme times, and that is why today you find out, like I tell people, I said, listen, if you are not a big boy, in the sense of being a big boy, you cannot go it alone. Madam must take care of certain issues at home.
Of course.
You understand? But this was not heard of few years ago.
Yeah.
Few years ago, the man takes charge of everything. The children are going to school. They will just give the money to the wife. Go and pay school fees. The wife wants to go take, buy. Then when he's even coming, he will buy more. He travels, he's buying. You understand? So
times have changed.
Times have changed.
Economically and otherwise.
And right now also, let's also understand the fact that women are also becoming independent kind of. They are making monies, running businesses, you know, they've broken the glass ceiling. You understand? So for women making money, there must be that understanding. But you see, because of the way society has programmed us to believe that we can't show emotions. In fact, do you know right now, I can tell you, I have cases where because the woman is earning more than the husband, you know, tries to undermine her using both cultural, tradition, family.
Of course.
To, you know, see if he can pull her back. You understand? But that shouldn't be. It's a new era. We're in a new era right now. You understand? What you need for such a wife is the support. Once she goes up there, she can't go it alone. She must come with you because you are the one giving her that cover. You understand? So it has come to the point where men have to think differently. I'm not trying to shade men now. We've taken so much pressure. We're still taking pressure. But right now, if your wife seems to be doing better than you, instead of you trying to undermine her or trying to scuttle her vision, you understand? Give her the moral, you know, support, and see if she can go far higher than where she's even aiming at. You understand?
I like that you even brought this part. Reasons why, because I don't know if it's ego. Some men tend to not want their women to work, and it still makes me laugh. I laugh out loud in pain and in anger because honestly speaking, let's even think about it. Are you sure you want to live to a certain age? Because tell me why you have a problem with your woman going out there to fend for the family so that the both of you can side by side take care of the family. So for men like that who think they can do it all and the woman just has to stay put just because they are scared of her having wings in their words or in their language to fly and fly away and never come back and be their submissive wife, quote and unquote. You know, so for these men, what do we have to say to them?
For such men, I'll tell them to probably take a critical look at themselves.
Okay.
You understand? Because I tell you, you know, sometimes some of us say we go to bed at night and we don't sleep. You know, for such men, most of them don't sleep at night. Because they are subconscious. I mean, you've deprived somebody that would have assisted you somehow. You understand? Help you cushion one or two aspects. And let's not also forget, we've seen instances where a man tells his wife, sit at home. Somewhere along the line, a tragedy happens. Either he loses his job or fire catches his industry or factory or something. Something just happened. Maybe his containers fall into the high sea due to a shipwreck or something. And millions and billions have gone under the drain. And you think you can stand? But you see, for example, let me use myself for example. Somewhere along the line, I had a boss that told me he's tired of my face. And that's it's time I give him space. He likes me. We're friends. I'm telling you his words. Sanders, I like you. You are my friend, but I don't want us to quarrel, but I'm tired of your face. So you have to give me space. And I told him, no problem, sir. That, but please, can you give me between now and end of a 3 months gap so that I can recoup my salary and get, because I was staying in the company's quarters then.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, that moment, you know, when the whole thing happened, my wife just told me it's not the end of the world. Okay. That, in fact, she came up with ideas. She said, there's an office space, so place. Let's go check it out. When we got there, she said, I'll just put a desk. You have your laptop and everything. You understand? At least you can stay here and start something. You know, even your media consultancy and all that consultancy things you do. You get what I'm saying? And all of that. For that period, she took charge. It wasn't as if I was not contributing because once in a while, I got some deals. Yeah. I immediately think money comes. Yeah. I hand over to her. Yeah. You know, as Habeg, you hold this. I don't know what you do with it. You know, just to ensure the home front. And my kids never lacked anything. We're still watching DSTV. Sundays we're cooking. We went out once in a while. In fact, there was a day she just came and she said all of us should go watch a movie. I was trying to tell her. She said, Daddy, leave this thing. It's once that we come to this world. That because of what? Let's go and watch a movie. You know, when that day to watch a movie, everything we spent that is still here. 45K 700 for popcorn business and about 6 of us.
Wow.
And she took charge of that. You understand? So just imagine that the home front kept running for about 5 months thereabout before I got another job. You get what I'm saying? So imagine if I told her, honey, well, you're not going to do anything, no, just stay home and take care of my kids. Or just be a stay-at-home mother. That is outdated. It is outdated. Any man doing that in the 21st century Nigeria, in fact, 21st century world, that person should have his brain, checked.
One thing you said here that caught my fancy, and very much so, is the fact that you have a very supportive partner.
Yes.
Because when we're trying so hard to look at how we can support men and sort of reduce the burden that they get to face by themselves, one of the things that would really matter is if they've got a supportive partner. But that's for you. For men who do not have supportive partners, how are they able to cushion the pressure that comes on them? Because we do have women with a mindset that it is your job to provide, and provide you shall. Women who have left homes because the men have not provided. Women who do not mind leaving if, this period of time that you were away from work, they would actually leave because your job is to provide. Their money is their money. Your money is the family's money. So for men who have wives like that, what can they do to sort of ease off on the pressure? This will lead us to the conversation about how men can actually reduce, the pressure that comes with it without burning out.
Well, for me, I'll say, yes, like you said, I have a very supportive wife. God bless her soul. You understand? Because I can't imagine myself without her, for one. I mean, she takes care of the home front and all of that. But if you tell me, you see, some of these things do not happen automatically. You understand? Because I recall when I got married to my wife, she was just out of school. I was just a young man, barely getting my foot on ground. You understand? And really, there was really nothing for her doing. But she's somebody that, for every little opportunity she goes, does one or two, get paid, she comes in and all of that. And I was like her support. I was always encouraging her. I was always looking out for her. And even when she comes into a kind of difficulty, she falls back to me, and I take my time to, put things in perspective for her. Okay. And we decide together and say, this is the way to go. And I move back again, giving her space. You understand? So for those men, because there are men, I'm a man. You understand? There are men who they prefer doing outside than doing at home.
Of course.
You understand? The women are not stupid. The women are not FBI. But God has given them an intuition. When you do some of those things, I don't know how God does it. You understand? That intuition is there. Nobody told them. Don't get it twisted. Nobody told them, but they will just know. And the way they will say it to you, your facial expression or body language will tell them they've hit the nail.
We'll just confirm it.
Thank you. So for a man that does most of those kind of things, the woman is not stupid. You're making money. You probably go and drink with your friends. Maybe you have a side chick. You understand? You prefer just doing things outside. When you now come home, you want to tighten up. We must be on this kind of budget. If the kids want to eat biscuit, no, it's not possible. You understand? That such a woman, when she starts making it, her money is her money.
Of course.
You understand? But if she knows that, no, my husband, no, myself, I don't enjoy. No. Once that period comes, some of them can even go and borrow for you.
Just so that
you can find your feet again. You understand? Once a woman loves you, a woman knows that you're also open and you understand. Because I've seen marriages where, even from their interaction, you'll be wondering, a husband and wife.
Exactly.
You've seen such things.
I have, and it's so scary.
Thank you. Then you want to tell me that when something that one won't even wait. Once there's even a comma somewhere,
truly,
she leaves. You understand? So, and I keep telling people, you see, sometimes it's not about just marry your friend. Marry your friend. Friendship stays forever. Love fades. You understand? Marry your friend. Once you marry your friend, at every point in time, friendship will sustain you
Of course.
guys. But once the love fades and either of you gets spark from somewhere else, huh?
It's an Otilo situation.
You guys, your guess is as good as mine
Yeah.
on such issues. So I'll just appeal to men, support your wives, because I've seen men that do not support their wives. I've seen men that do not support their wives' vision. I've seen men that undermine their wives in their places of prowess. Some will even go as far as even going to, your wife is
Terminate a job.
Thank you.
Oh my God. I saw
you
a
know
story.
your wife is a boss somewhere, and you feel okay, she's bossy. She can kind of use that one for you. Go there and mess her up in front of us, and they now terminate her job. All of you are back to square one.
I saw a story, right? And that story, I sat down and I just, I had no words. So this man, the wife was earning, I think, 500,000. He earns 150,000. Only for him, I think they were on a vacation or something, or the woman went for leave, only for her to return, and then she saw somebody in her seat, in her position. And then she was like, what's up? They said, this person has replaced you now. You sent us your resignation letter.
You can,
and we saw it and we've acknowledged it. For 2 weeks, this lady thought she had a job to come back to. Only for her to for them to tell her that somebody has already submitted using your email to send a resignation letter.
And from investigation, it
was her husband. She went and met him and he said, yes, I have told you that job is not giving you time. It's not giving you time to take care of us.
And the 150 is earning. Can he take them anywhere?
The 150, the next month, they sacked him.
You can imagine.
They sacked him. And honestly, I'm just sitting here wondering, why are you threatened of somebody you got married to? Why are you threatened by their progress?
I don't know.
It honestly beats
me.
You
see, sometimes, social media, sometimes you hear exaggerated stories.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll tell you it's fabricated. But you see, whether fabricated or exaggerated, most times when you hear those stories and the fabricators, you see, just give yourself another 3 months. You will see a replica happening live with video evidence. You understand? And you'll be wondering, from where to where?
Exactly.
How? Somebody said, I do, I love you. You went to see the parents, and all of that. And from nowhere, jealousy. This is worse than jealousy. I don't know what to call it.
Honestly, I did I would call it a little survey where I asked some men, if your wife earns more than you do, would you commend her for that, or would you even support her? And 70% of the men said no. They wouldn't want a situation where the wife will earn more than.
But they're lying. They're lying. I don't have a research or survey evidence, but I can tell you now, quite a number of women are breadwinners. When they say you are the breadwinner, it means you are the one carrying most of the load you understand?
Yeah.
So when 70% they are still working in the figment of their imaginations. Some of them, the wives are already running things. You understand? And most of those women that do it, they are not stupid. They're doing it because of their kids.
Of course.
Like, for example, I tell people, that I don't know, I only give them money for Christmas clothes for my kids. I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. For Christmas, I'll just give the mom for their Christmas clothes. You understand? But within the year, even slippers, shoes, hairdo. Okay, once my daughter, I give her, sometimes she meets me. She meets me for her hair. You understand? Her hair. But when it comes to clothes and other things, and I see them wear new things, of course, it's their mom.
Of course.
You understand? And it's nobody crucifies me for that. I pay their school fees. I pay the house rent. You understand? In fact, we didn't write it out. There are certain things at home. When NEPA comes with their bill, everybody knows it's daddy. When it comes to food, apart from month end when I give her stock up money once I'm paid, every other thing is their mom. You understand? And then Sundays, I've already said that earlier on, that on Sundays I must give money for them to prepare stew and whatever. You understand? So, but you see, systematically, everybody knows
their role. Yeah.
Even the kids know for this, is this, Then there are other times when she becomes overwhelmed. You understand? And when they go to meet her, she's like, please, go and meet your daddy. They will come and meet me. I will have to perform the magic there. Immediately.
Yeah.
Just for, you understand? And maybe later in the day, you will see her coming back. She's buying probably suya. Daddy, come on. Is like, you know? I knew, yes, the pressure. Maybe too much as, you know, women are very sensitive when it comes to money.
Exactly.
As they are making money, they are also, you know, calculating how it's going out. If too many things, if too much demands, you see them walked up.
Yeah.
You understand? At that moment, I try to cushion it. I take charge. So that, you understand? And after a while, she appreciates, you know. In fact, maybe at night, she just tell me that she's feeling sorry. I say, just apologize to him or her, depending on which of the kids came and she shouted on him.
Yeah.
And by morning, she jokingly, come now, this is, and it's all over.
It goes away.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, I think one of the key things to take away from this is, marry a good person, no? Because if you don't marry a good person, you're just going to carry so much burden all by yourself. You carry her own, you carry his own, you carry that of the kids, and it can really lead to a burnout.
It is teamwork.
Exactly.
Once you guys agree, it's teamwork. The sky is your stepping stone, not even your limit. It's your stepping stone to greater heights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's quickly just, wrap up with financial pressure. And this time around, we're not going to focus on, family men, like you earlier stated. We're going to focus on financial pressure on, guys, on men generally. Men are supposed to provide. The example I'm going to give here would be that of young boys, even at a very young age. Boys who are still collecting money from their mom and their dad, money that they're supposed to use and sustain themselves. Now they decided that they want to have girlfriends in school. And now this girlfriend is telling them to get them the latest iPhone, for instance, or the latest hair, because obviously peer pressure is mounting, right? And now this young boy is now being pressured to make all this provision, because if you do not provide, you're not going to be regarded as a man. How do we begin to let boys know that any pressure coming from a woman is not supposed to be taken wholeheartedly? You're supposed to take the ones you can take and throw away the ones you can throw away, no matter what societal pressure will come with that.
Yes, you see, peer pressure is a very big problem amongst youths. You understand? Everybody wants to belong. For one, I think parents, let's start from the home front, especially mothers. You understand? Mothers need to, because I believe mothers and their daughters should be pali.
Yeah, of course.
They should be able to, but you see, we don't have that all the time. You find that most times daughters
are more closer to the father.
Yeah. Like you might think I might be using myself as an example so much, but you see, for my daughter, she and the mom, they are 5 and 6, but there are certain things she won't tell the mom. It is me, and I'll have to now, either assuage her, pet her, and she will plead with me not to allow the mom. No, I'll just say no problem. But you see, we don't keep secrets.
Okay.
Later, I'll have to tell the mom. I say, but don't make her know. Instead, please, know how to relate with her at this level. You understand?
Yeah.
So, for me, I want to advise a situation where the home front will start. You understand? Because the pressure comes from both sides. You understand? That your girl child needs to be told. You don't start making demands. You understand? I mean, there's this joke we cry everywhere. You meet a girl today, and immediately her house rent, her birthday, her mom is sick. There's so many issues.
Yeah.
And you see everybody, the guy will just say, I beg, I don't work out. You understand? We laugh over it. But you see, it is the society we find ourselves in right now. Then to the guys, you don't need to put yourself under too much pressure. When we're growing up, I was telling people that each time babe go tell me, say, make I buy a phone. Am I mad? Well, we enjoyed gisting about, have you read this book?
Yeah.
Did you watch this movie?
Oh.
You're strolling up, coming down, you're talking about movies. You understand? Then probably you go out outing, probably swim, watch a movie. You understand? Highest is Coke, meat pie, which if it's a family that pocket money is constant. The young man can take from his pocket money And he will know that for the next 3 or 4 days, he might not barb his hair. He might not buy his bathing soap.
Yeah.
You understand? He will have to stomach it for a while before his next pocket money comes. You understand? But that outing becomes a memory. You understand? Nobody's going to pressure me to come and buy, pay for house rent, buy iPhone 17 and land money. Am I mad? What are you even doing without such a phone when you've not started earning yourself?
Of course.
You understand? So it is parents, it's society, religious institutions, faith-based organizations, everybody, all hands must be on deck because morally, the society is going bananas.
Agree.
Morally, society is going bananas. And that's why you see young boys in their teens already looking towards fast money, egombute rituals.
Exactly.
And you understand? It's crazy.
Exactly.
I never thought, like my son just entered university. The first night I said, listen, young man, not all your friends, though, be very careful. Your set. Friendship is not as our own.
Yeah.
During our time, my friend is like a brother. You understand? My mom knew virtually all my friends. Then if it's female friends, I must bring them home. And she, on her own, goes to know their parents.
Exactly.
You understand? But these are things we don't do now. You see a friend will say, come and escort me, go here. Tomorrow you hear they buy the person. When did we get this crazy?
It's a decay.
A major
Honestly.
decay. So, and what is fueling it is material wealth.
Of course.
It's saddening. It's mad. It's crazy. Youths are no longer allowed to be youths. The other day I was at a shopping mall. A boy, if that boy is too old, God help me, 16. You need to see the card with nothing important. Spirits, different kinds of spirits, energy drinks. And one of the cashier was empty. I said, nah, lie. I will stay here and watch this thing. I only bought 2 loaves of bread. They finished and the guy just ping. By the time he stepped out, it's a huger one that was even driving the Benz. See, that one had to come out, start packing. I just said, wow. This one now will go and scatter his system. You understand? That it's not yet fully matured self.
Exactly.
And tomorrow they will say, you understand? So there is so many issues. You understand? But parents need to become parents. I know society is hard. Some of us travel, we go to different work and all of that. Negates family time to either house help or uncle and auntie that probably are not also interested in what the kids are doing and all of that. You understand? So we have to start from the home front. The churches need to also wake up in terms of preaching against some of all these immoral happenings in the society. And then we might make a headway. We might.
Thank you so much, Xanders, for this one. This conversation is quite in-depth, and I'm sure you've learned from his experiences, rather. You've learned some lessons, things that you need to hold on to. Most importantly, emotionally, I think men should be given the opportunity to express themselves emotionally.
Yes.
Have that at the back of your mind. It is okay for you to be vulnerable. It is okay for you to cry. It is okay for you to do. Let's change that moral construct that we, men have been taught. And I'm sure you're also doing something like that for your son as well. You're letting him know that it's okay for him to be vulnerable.
Of course. He has emotions. He has feelings. You understand? And for one, let me also put it out there. Parents need to be friends with their kids.
Of course.
Apart from parenting, be their friends. Some mornings my son just walks into our room. I say, Pale, chop knuckle. I'll tell him if I knock you. The mom says, what's the meaning of that? He just says, he's my dad now. Then he now say, Male, and my wife say, Uzo, I will slap you. We laugh over it. Then he will now say, good morning, sir, good morning, ma. You understand? And then 1 or 2 discussion and he's out of the room. And I also asked him, I said, young man, you've not introduced me to your girlfriend, though. You say that, I say, leave this story. Tell me. Let me know,
Yeah.
So just to be part of their lives,
Of
you
course.
understand? So that you see, for me, we welcome his friends home. Some few days ago, he told me, Dad, I need, my friends are coming over. I said, so why are you telling me? He said that I want you to know first. Then, of course, you know now. I said, I don't know anything. You understand?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I sent him some money to get them drinks and all of that. And by the time they came, my wife was home. She also prepared food, they ate and all of that. They played their games on television, and you understand. At least we know they are friends.
Of course.
I can tell you when I see a new face, I say, who are you? You understand?
Yeah.
And I interrogate them. You get? So we need to be friends. We need to know who they are mingling with. Because once you give any little gap, society, nature avoids vacuum, and society will help you fill in the gap. Either with a monster, and if you are lucky, you could get someone that will do the right thing.
This is quite a deep conversation. I just want to say thank you once again. I mean, you got tips on parenting, didn't you? Because I did. I sure did. Thank you so much once again, Xanders, for coming. And thank you so much to you, our amazing viewers, for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go follow us on all our social media platforms. Share this video. Share this video to your mother, your father, and to every member of your family and your friends as well. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.